the sidelines of Djibouti Forum, CNBC Africa sat down with Obaid Amrane, chairman of the International Forum for Sovereign Wealth Funds, to discuss the role of sovereign funds in driving economic growth in Africa.
We should first say that the Sovereign Wealth Fund has recently experienced a good development on the continent. But we have to distinguish the fact that there are almost two big family of sovereign wealth funds. Ones that are using excess budgetary resources that comes from external commerce, or using resources from mineral or natural resources, and those funds try to invest those excess of money to stabilize their own economy, invest into the future, and act as a counter-cyclical body to a period of stress in economy. But the majority of the fund that exist in Africa are strategic development funds. Those funds are more like investor body that are trying to encourage and to support the policy of each country regarding the economic development, but using the private financial sector as a tools. So they act as investor. They are mobilizing money from the private sector to invest into bright future sector of the economies of their own countries. Those funds now are experiencing a lot of success, and we are seeing a lot of countries that are creating more and more of those kind of sovereign wealth funds.
All right. But at the same time, looking at the struggles of individual economies, the macroeconomic issues that exist and persist, actually, how do you see sovereign funds to come out of that? Or would your advice be to push for them irrespective of the struggles?
Oh, the sovereign wealth fund are a tool which has a mandate to invest for the next generation.
Sure.
They have this feeder and the capacity to be a patient investor and long-term investor. So that's why they can be counter-cyclical to the economies, to the crisis. But right now, we should know that we should emphasize that those bodies has experienced in the last years some challenges. The first one was the pandemic with the COVID and the closing of the economies, and they do a good job. And we see how those tools has reacted and tried to support the maintain of employment, the investment, and to improve the welfare of their community. But right now, they are also experiencing some other challenges related to the instability, and others that are related to the inflation that hits the economies. And in that, their main role, even with all those challenges, remain the fact that they have to attract private sector investment to leverage on their assets, on the strengths of their economy. So you will find that they are invested in early stage phase of investment,
right,
which is the gap that exists today, and that you can hear in all the conferences, that the bankability, how to improve the bankability of project, and how to improve the quality of the documentation, and so on and so forth. And for that, we launch 2 years ago, Itmar Capital at Rabat, we launches a platform that we called the African Sovereign Investment Forum, which group today 12 African sovereign wealth funds from all the continent. We met last year in Kigali, Rwanda, and in some weeks we will be gathering in Mauritius. And we are expecting to have more funds that will come to this platform. The aim of this tool is first to create the opportunity of collaboration between those bodies, to create the opportunity to exchange experiences, have the good lessons from each party, and more important is to create the scale and to create the size. Since large-scale investors are looking for de-risking projects within local investor, but also for a pipeline of projects. So working together on a platform of investment is one of the main objectives that we are trying to work within our community of African Sovereign Wealth Fund.
So you just mentioned 12 operational that come under the African Sovereign Wealth Fund sort of community, you can say.
Yes.
And the fact that they ensure bankability, a long-term investment, something that Africa actually struggles with, at least at concessional costs. And at the same time, de-risking the investor's interest. What are some examples of this success in the recent time that you see in Africa?
There are a lot of very interesting experiences. You should know that there are new funds that come. They still have to organize themselves, to work on their strategic equation of investment, because each fund will give answer to its own problem, to its own context, and to its own framework. But we can see more and more the very first fund, like those of Nigeria, the fund of Senegal also has embarked in very interesting project. Certain are related to the financing of infrastructure, typically when it comes to energy or renewable energy. Others have created some tools to support and to leverage money in financing SMEs to create more activities. So you have a diversity of situation that today I think give us we are able to think that those tools will have a role to play. There are for sure some challenges that are related to governance, to the interaction they can have with their environment, because this is a very specific tool that is done to support public goods with private sector tools.
Sure.
So the interaction between the two, it's not the easy one.
Yes.
But it is a tool that demonstrates its usefulness when it comes to economic development.
Surely, nobody can refute the use here of these mechanisms, and neither will I. But looking at the environment today that we are functioning in, high debt, high interest rates, international markets, again, wary, still calling Africa a risky market. People can argue all they want about perception, but rates are still not changing at which credit is being extended to Africa. So in that aspect, how do you see sovereign funds navigating international markets, capital markets, where their worth, they're very important in terms of they're very attractive, everybody wants in, but At what cost?
Let me tell you something. Because we should be very, very clear with ourselves. If you want to have an A380 plane landing in your airport, you should construct the airport for that.
Yeah.
What does it mean? That means if you want to bring international investors, you should speak their language. You should prepare the documentations and bankability of projects that fit to their considerations and to the industry. That's why I think that the most important industry should the African continent develop is the investment industry. Having skilled people, having good frameworks to attract those investors will be the only way that we can measure the success. But let me tell you, for sure there is something that look like perception and reality. And forever perception surpasses the reality, unfortunately. And the African countries are paying for this perception more than they have to do when it comes to all the elements that you spoke about. And this is a situation that we should address as funds and as entities concerned by the economic development of our countries.
And you say speak their language so they can understand you better.
They can understand better.
All right. Thank you so much, Mr. Obaid Amrane, for joining us on CNBC Africa.
Thank you for that.